Alright, boys, in today's video we're going to be going over the light cones you can obtain once you reach level 30 on the Battle Pass. Now, this is the selection, and now, one thing, it's up to you. Do you want to pick all of these once, or do you want to max out one? I heavily recommend maxing out one because it just gives you much greater value than if you were to just pick all of these once. Because if you pick all of these once, then you'll get some like random S5, S2, S3, maybe even 4-star, and it's probably going to outdo this one. But if you max out one, you get 1 to S5. That one is going to be outdoing all of these, and maybe even some 5-stars you pull, because the 5-stars are going to be an S1, obviously. So I'm just saying, I personally recommend maxing out one of them first and then going for the other ones, which is why we're going to be looking at them at their maxed out state. Obviously, what I say applies to the base state too, but when I mention numbers, it's going to be the maxed out one. So the first one is Months Shortens Cold Nights. This one increases the max HP by 32%, very solid. And then when you use basic attacks or a skill, restores all allies HP by an equal amount of 4% of their respective max HP. Very solid. Usually with your healer, you don't want to use their skill unless it's a super emergency, because in your skill point rotation you shouldn't really have space for another skill point for your healer, right? You might have one, and again, that's the emergency one. So you practically only basic attack with your healer and then ultimate once it fills up and you need some health, right? So this one helps offset that slightly and increases the max HP, which the healers do want max HP because it scales so well with their kit. If you don't have Bailu, for example, right, and you have Natasha, right? Let's say you have E6 Natasha, okay? Let's say best case scenario, you have E6 Natasha. If we go to her E6, you can barely see it, but her basic attack do more damage equal to 40% of her max HP, right? It scales super well with Natasha, for example. And in general, their kit, their heals, everything scales with max HP too. So this is really solid. Also, it helps them stay alive for longer, which obviously is really important too. So this is really good. This one, when I looked at them initially, this one was my clear favorite. But now that I looked at them again, might be different options. So let's talk about the second one, which is going to be We Will Meet Again. This is for Nihility, which is the debuffing class, so to speak, the ones that apply DOTs. So after the wearer uses basic attack or skill, the wearer deals up to 96% of attack as additional damage to a random enemy that is attacked by its abilities. Now this one sort of reminds me of like an AoE version of the 3-star light cone, Hidden Shadow. So I'm not too big of a fan of it. It will add up to your like overall DPS, but I don't think it's like crazy, especially with the Nihility characters we have right now. I don't think this is like something that's gonna like make or break them. This is like a nice to have, I suppose, but again, you could just use this one and you have higher single target in that sense. Now obviously this one, it doesn't work the exact same way, but I do feel like this one is just like a slightly worse version, but better for single target version than this one. So I wouldn't recommend this one. Like if you go through them, this is probably the one you're gonna be picking last in general anyway. So I'm not gonna waste too much time talking about this one. It's a cool thing. It's not gonna come up much. It's not gonna feel incredible to use. The effect though doesn't seem really worth it, because Nihility characters, you usually don't use their skill. You use their ultimates usually. What's like really crazy about them. And their technique before battle, but like that's really it. The skill doesn't really matter, so just be the basic attack, and then at that point, like this one just outdoes it for the most part. So I'm not a fan of this one. Right, next one we have This Is Me. Now this is one for the tank class. This is for March 7th. This is for the main character. This is for Gepard. Increases the wearer defense by 30%. Very good. All their kits scale with defense. Their damage scales with defense. Everything scales with defense. Increase the damage of the wearer when they use their ultimate by 120% of the wearer's defense. This effect only applies one time per enemy target. That's whatever. But this is really good. This is a really good light cone to have. And I think there's better 4-star ones for the MC and March 7th and Gepard, but they're all summonable. There's no free ones. And this one, at like S3, is probably much better than that one can ever be. This is the one I was thinking of, which is really good too. 60% increased defense, right? Which is what you're most likely going to have. You're not going to be pulling this one multiple times. And then when the wearer is attacked, it applies burn to the enemy. And and the dot scales of your defense, right? Which I really like this one, but this one is just going to be more effective. Especially for the fire main character. Obviously not for Gepard. I don't think the damage applies to his shield, unfortunately. But for the main character and March 7th, which March 7th is just a like bootleg Gepard anyway. Especially if you have your E2, then she might just be better. This is going to be huge for her. This is going to be huge for her. It's going to be huge for the MC, right? Huge damage and also really good defense. Lets you reach like upwards of 3,000 defense probably. Really, really solid, right? And this is one that will just be universally good, right? Increased defense and increased damage based on your defense. This is going to be good on the MC until the end of time. Right. So this one, very, very good option too. Next one, oh, that's not the next one. Next one, we have Return to Darkness, which is a hunt one. And I have a lot of things to say about this one. Increases the wearer's crit rate by up to 24%. After a crit hit, there is a 32% fixed chance to dispel one buff on the target enemy. This effect can only be triggered once per attack. Now, the second part of this, I feel like is sort of useless. This should have been 100%, or at least like 80. No, because like, if it's 80, it's more frustrating to use, because then it's like, if you don't get it, this feels like a waste. And the way it is right now, it just immediately feels like a waste. So you don't even have expectations, right? It's like a mini bonus. But 24% crit rate is nice. Now there's one thing though. This is also a free light cone that you'll be getting to S5 very, very easily. And I would recommend getting to S5 too. This one you get from the simulated universe. And this one increases your crit rate by 16 and then another 16 if they're less than 50% HP. So you have a higher peak and it's going to be more consistent. And it also increases your attack when you defeat an enemy, and every boss or like regular fight you do, they spawn these smaller enemies that you can just farm. So this is always gonna this is gonna be active most of the times. 2 turns is a long time too. Like 2 turns is a long ass time. So this one is just infinitely better. Also being a 5-star, these stats on this are obviously gonna be much higher than this one, right? So in general, I feel like this one is okay. Because just having 24% crit rate is okay, right, with some stats attached to it. But you could be doing better. You could be doing better. You could be doing much better. So I think this is the case. And also a bunch of the summonable 4-star ones, I feel like are just infinitely better than this one too. So although this one looks nice on paper, I feel like you're most likely just going to be using this thing only. And at this point, I feel like this is not enough. Like this is a 3-star level light cone, I feel like, when it's just doing this, right? When it's just doing this, I feel like it's a 3-star. Regardless, moving on to the next one. Carve the moon, weave the clouds. Okay. Has Tingin on it. At the start of battle, it applies a... when the wearer's turn begins, obviously, one random effect gets applied. All allies' attack increased by 20%, all allies' crit damage increased by 24%, or all allies' energy regeneration rate increases by 12%. I wish this was higher, but we'll talk about this. The applied effect cannot be identical to the last effect applied, so you always be cycling this one, so it's not like completely random. You can like sort of like... You can like set up your rotation. If you got the energy regeneration one first, right? So you can do your like ult combos. Like with Dan Heng, you can already ult 8 times within 5 turns. So you could do like maybe like 10 times, right? With a 12% increase, right? You get that one done. And then you get your attack increase and you go for like his skill rotation. You just do skills so you don't get your ultimates quick. So you get like your 8 ultimates and 5 attacks. But it like counts as, all of these kind of balance out to be the same damage increase. Obviously I don't have the exact numbers, I can't run calcs like that, but these all seem like they will add up to be around the same damage. Obviously the crit damage one's only good if you do have enough crit rate to make use of this, so this one might be iffy at first until you get your characters like really properly built. And also 24% crit damage is not that big. Like I feel like they could have made this 36%, but overall this is very, very nice. This is a very, very nice effect. This works super well with Dan Heng, with Zayla, with Yaching, right, with all of the hunt characters. Super, super good light cone. Really big fan of this one. Probably the one I'm going to be picking up too, by the way. So, but we'll keep going. The next one is going to be Nowhere to Run. This one is a destruction one. Increases the wearer's attack by 48%. Huge. Where it defeats an enemy, they restore HP equal to 24% of their attack, and you're already gonna have such huge attack. Like probably, like, let's say you have 3k attack with this, okay? Right? I know it sounds a little crazy, but I feel like this is going to be like 3k attack once you like Yeah, 40, we have gold equipment, your first few sets. 3k attack doesn't seem too crazy to me, okay? With this light gun specifically, because you get a 48% increase. So, if we talk about like 3k, you heal 1.5k, sorry, 750k? 750, sorry. Like 500 to 750 is what your average heal is going to be when you kill people. Now, I feel like this is only like good on some characters. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but if I sort after destruction, right, I feel like this is going to be really, really broken in Arlan because he uses his own health to use his skills. So this is going to like offset that completely and make him turbo broken, because then he just generates his skill points practically for free. And then Clara is also going to be really good because she doesn't want to get hit, but if she gets hit and she does the regular counter and she kills people, she heals that back up and she's just self-sufficient in that case, and that's really strong. For Hook, I don't really care. And for the Trailblazer physical, raw attack is the best way to go for him, so I suppose this is a really good light cone for him. But yeah, this one is also really solid for destruction, but again, destruction also has a free 5-star one, which is on the Fall of an Aeon, which is also really, really strong and gives you much more attack and much more usefulness. And this is also something you can get from the simulated universe, and it's really, really strong. It's really, really strong. It's the one I picked myself. If I go back here, it's the one I picked myself already, right? And last but not least, we have Today's Another Peaceful Day, which is the Erudition one, which is the Himiko Herda, I don't want to say her name, the free character we get, Shinkwe, I can't say it, and Serval one. Now this one, after entering battle, increase the wearer's damage based on their max energy. Damage increases by, let's say, up to 0.4 per point of energy, up to 160. Now, why is this one the worst one? First of all, no one even has 160 energy, okay? The highest is Shinkei, and her, or like whatever you call her, and hers is 140 energy, okay? Hers is 140. Himiko is like 110, I believe, 120? 120, right? So you don't get the full value of this one. The second you get this one, you're not getting full value of this one, right? The Erudition characters, they don't even have 160 yet. So, you know, this one doesn't feel like it's going to do much for you. Obviously, it's going to be a okay DPS one. If we look at the other Erudition ones, let's look at 3-star ones. I feel like this one is pretty much the same thing, but better. Or when you have this one too, like this one, both of these are just better. And you're gonna get these to S5 like easily, right? Let's look at 4-star ones that you can get at rank 1 already that are better than this one right here. This one is probably just better. Increases the damage dealt by the word. This fall protects, that's a bit more specific, so I don't like that one. This one's really solid too. This one's really solid too. They're all better than this one. This one, if it did way more, because this, let's say you have 160 energy, you have this maxed out, it's a 64% damage increase. It's okay. Again, I don't like it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't really impact the battle. It gives you a slight damage boost, and that's it. I feel like most characters right now, it's going to be like a 40 to 50% damage boost at max in like a few months. So you have to think about that too. I just not worth it. Especially if you get at the first one. It's a 32% increase if you have 160 max energy, which you don't have. So it's not going to be that much. Right? It's going to be a 28% increase if you have Shinkui. It's going to be a 24% damage increase if you have Himeko. It's not good. It's not a good light cone. This is definitely the one you don't want to pick. So, which one do you want to pick? If you have Bailu, you want to pick this one because you're going to be running 2 healers. And you probably need to have multiple light cones for this one. So I would recommend picking this one. If you have Arlan and you really like him, you really want to use him, I'd suggest taking this one because it, it balances out his HP costs. If you use Tingyan on practically everything you do, then I would use this one because this is just a really nice buff for every ally. The fact that this is all allies is just so huge. Even on the first effect, 10% attack increase, 12% crit damage, like these are all decent buffs. These are all stuff that you can feel, and they'll feel good to use as well. And then this one again, I wouldn't pick. This one, I wouldn't pick. And then this one, I wouldn't pick either. This one, if you use the Fire MC a lot and you don't have a good light cone for him, really, really good option too. Obviously, it depends on what you have. So you want to pick one that covers your weakness, okay? If you don't have a good healer one, but you like your healer, you know, pick this one. If you want to use a Fire MC more, but you don't, or like or March 7th, right? If you want to use her more and you don't have a good light cone for her, pick this one. Right? It all depends. What do you see yourself using in the future of the game, right? In like months from now, because that's what this is going to be applying to. I'm going to be personally picking this one. I feel like this is going to be good universally for a long time. Again, initially I was thinking I'll buy this one, but I barely use a healer now. Even for like simulated universe, I don't use a healer. I don't feel like you need one most of the time. If you have the Fire MC, like his tiny shields, they're good enough. And those tiny shields can get pretty big. Especially in the simulated world universe, the buffs you can get to the shields and like heals and everything, you'll be okay. And then in like Forgotten Halls, I like to not run a healer because I like to get through it quick. I've never had the issue of like my characters dying. I've more had the issue of I don't have enough DPS. So I'm not going to be picking this one, although I do think this one's really, really strong. And again, this one, like for me, it was between this one, but I showed you the one I already have, and this one. If I had Arlen, I'd generally pick this one. I really like Arlen. I would legit just get this for him because I really, really like him, but I don't have him, so unfortunately I'm going to be picking this one. And I know I'm going to be using Tingyun for the rest of my life because she's just too broken. So she gives you such a huge damage boost. She costs 1 skill point. She costs -2 skill points because she uses 1 and then generates you 3. So she's just really strong. Like that's why like I need this one. Seems really good. So I'm going to be picking this one. I hope this video was helpful though. I hope I helped you make your own decision as to which one you want to pick. I'm going to be picking this one right now actually. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video, boys. Good job.